it's Jess. Welcome back. You've read the title, you know what we're here for today. This is an unhaul. If you've watched my goals for the year, then you know that I have a lot more books than I want on my physical TBR. A lot of the books you're going to see today are books that I've had on my shelves for over 5 years at this point. If I've had a book for that long and I still haven't read it, why am I hanging on to it? I also think that over the course of the last 5+ years, my reading taste has changed. I got back into reading in 2016, and I'm so grateful and happy that I did. But in 2016, as I was getting back into reading, I bought a lot of books. And then when my parents were moving from my childhood home, they found like 4 or 5 boxes of books in the attic that were books from my childhood through high school years. And I brought back a lot of those, and even some of those I had not read. But then obviously every year I continue to buy books. But over the years since 2016, my reading tastes have evolved and changed. I've changed as a person. And honestly, some of these books that I'm going to unhaul, I've had for 5 or more years, and I haven't reached for them. And so I just think that it is time to say goodbye to some of these books that I just honestly don't think that I'm ever personally going to get around to. I don't want this video to be too long, so I don't think I'm going to give in-depth synopsises of all of these books, but I'm going to show you all of the books that I'm unhauling for the year. The first 2 books that I'm getting rid of are Legion of Flame and The Walking Fire, both by Anthony Ryan. I got these books because they are adult fantasy about dragons, but then after I got these books, I read the first 2 books of his other series with my book club, and we collectively DNF'd that series. I really didn't like it, and since then I just have not wanted to give any of his works another try. I know that Anthony Ryan is a really loved fantasy author, so I know that there's going to be somebody out there who is so excited to get both of these books, and I'm just gonna let them go. I'm also getting rid of Save the Date by Morgan Matson. This is a young adult contemporary novel. Honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with this book. I would probably read it and have a fun time with it, but I just have not read a young adult contemporary that has become a 5-star favorite read for me in like 8 years. So even knowing that I would enjoy this, I would rather read a book that I might love than a book that I'll just think is 3 stars and I'm like, okay, I read it, it's a book. And so I'd rather just pass this along to its intended audience. Along the same lines, I'm getting rid of What I Lost by Alexandra Ballard. I picked up this book because I heard that it has really good eating disorder rep. I can't confirm that because, again, I haven't read the book, but it is a young adult contemporary novel. And I think that if I want to read a book about an eating disorder where that is central to the theme, I think I would just rather read an adult literary fiction novel about the same topic. So again, parting ways. I'm also letting go of The Glass Spare and The Cursed Sea by Lauren De Stefano. This is a young adult fantasy series, and I honestly don't remember what this series is about. It was really popular at the time it was published, and thankfully I got both of these books on clearance, so I don't feel too bad about letting them go. But honestly, I just am no longer interested in reading this series. I can't even remember what it's about. You're gonna see a running theme with basically all of these books, but I'm also getting rid of My Plain Jane and My Lady Jane. These are the first 2 books in the Janey series, which are all standalone companion novels, and I read My Plain Jane and I liked it well enough. I had a good time. I think I even rated it 4 stars, but I don't really think about My Plain Jane, and honestly, I've seen My Lady Jane on my shelves almost every single day, and I just never feel the urge to pick it up. So I think my time with this series has run its course, and I'm going to part ways with both of them. I will also be parting ways with A Song Below Water by Bethany C. Morrow. I was originally really excited about this book because it follows mermaids. It is a young adult fantasy again, but since this book has come out, I've heard that it leans much more contemporary than it does to the fantasy side, and I just again, I'm not that interested in young adult contemporary novels at this time, so I don't think I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to let it go. I'm getting rid of the entire Remnant Chronicles and also Dance of Thieves. These are all by Mary Pearson. Now, I read this original Remnant Chronicles and I basically thought that they were fine. This book series has a lot of love, so I don't want to discourage anyone from reading it, but for me, these books were like meh to okay. I'm never going to reread these 3 books, and I know that there's someone out there that will absolutely love them. So I would rather get rid of them, free up space for books that I love, that I enjoy to look at on my shelves because of the memories I have reading them. I'd rather have that and pass these to someone who will love them than just hang on to them because I read them. Similarly, since I found this series so mid, I'm going to get rid of Dance of Thieves. I've had this since the year it was published. I'm not going to read it. It's been years. I can move on. Speaking of beloved young adult fantasy, I'm getting rid of Wind Witch and Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. These are the first 2 books in a young adult series. Basically, same as everything else. I think that if I read these, that I would enjoy them, but I've had them for years. I never have the urge to pick these up, and even though I do think I would enjoy them, I don't think that these are 5-star reads for me personally, but I do think they are 5-star reads for somebody else, so I'm gonna pass these along to someone else. I'm repeating myself a lot this video. I have another fantasy series, The Crown's Game and The Crown's Fate. This is a fantasy duology. I'm not sure if it's young adult or adult, but this is like the same thing. I have had these books for over 5 years and never once been inclined to pick them up. Why do I have them? Why? I couldn't tell you what this book series is about, and honestly, I've never heard anybody talk about them either, so I'm not really excited to pick them up, so we're moving on to books that I'm excited about this year. Up next is an adult fantasy. This is The Empire's Ghost by Isabel Steiger, and again, no idea. I know it's an adult fantasy, I know there's a lot of political intrigue, and I know I've had it for 5 years and I've never read it, and I'm letting it go. Next up, I have just another ton of young adult fantasy books where the story is just the same. I got them years ago, I was interested at the time, since then I've forgotten they existed, and now I'm just no longer interested in reading them. I have Blood and Sand by C.J. Wick, Rebel of the Sands by Alwyn Hamilton, and also The Bird and the Blade by Megan Bannon. Also, apparently The Bird and the Blade was like really problematic and really full of like Asian stereotypes. So honestly, I'm not really sad to see that one go. But I also have Beyond a Darkened Shore and Crystal Storm. Why do I have book 5 in the Fallen Kingdoms when I don't own the first 4? I don't know, but I have book 5. It was probably on clearance, and I was like, well, I'll get book 1 one day. Did I? No, I'm not going to read this series. It needs to go. I also have Tess of the Road. I'm not going to read it. It's a dragon book. That's very exciting to me, but sorry. Okay, Mom, if you're here, I need you to look away for a second. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm getting rid of The Kitchen Counter Cooking School. My mom gave me this. I believe it was her copy that she read and she loved it. She gave it to me 8 years ago, maybe. And like, I'm not going to read it, Mom. I'm sorry. I have loved other books that my mom has given me. My mom introduced me to How to Kill a Mockingbird, which is one of my favorite books of all time. but I'm not going to read this one. I'm also just not going to read Blind Descent. This was gifted to me by Jake's grandparents because they got it for free when they went to see like some seminar lecture type thing. But they're basically just like, Jessica likes to read. Here's the book. It's about a guy getting like trapped on a mountain and surviving alone blind on Mount Everest. I'm not going to read it. Sorry, I'm just not gonna. I also have Challenger Deep by Neal Shusterman. Honestly, this is the one that I'm most on the fence about, I think, in the whole video. I really love The Toll by Neal Shusterman, so I got this book, and the problem is I just never read it, and I also never reached for it. But if you've read this book and you think that I would like it, please let me know, because this one is actually one that I would consider keeping. It did win a National Book Award, and I know that I like Neal Shusterman's writing style. It's just the main reason that I'm unhauling this is that it's just been years and I just have no motivation to read it. But if you can convince me about this one in particular in the comments, then maybe I will keep it. I'm getting rid of The River of No Return by B. Ridgway. This is an adult time travel novel. I just don't care. It's going goodbye. Then I have The Muse by Jessie Burton. This was definitely a cover buy, and I have honestly just not heard great things about this book since I got it. I've also had it for over 5 years and never read it, and I don't even remember what it's about. So it can go. Next up, I have The Red Chamber. This is one of the books that my parents found in their attic. It is an adult historical fiction novel. Honestly, if I didn't read this when I was in high school and then I got it back from my parents' house and I haven't read it in 5 years, I'm not gonna read it now, so it can go. I'm also getting rid of The Deepest Roots. This is a young adult fantastical thriller, I think. I'm not sure how much of a thriller aspect it is. I'm just no longer really interested in the premise of this book any longer, and it's time for it to go find a new home. I'm also getting rid of The Broken Tea Glass. I honestly don't remember how I got this book. I don't remember why I got this book. It's possible that my mom also got me this one, but I just don't remember. I cannot remember a single thing about this book, and I just have no interest in reading it. I'm also getting rid of Miranda Ann Caliban by Jacqueline Carey, and again, couldn't tell you what this book is about. I really can't. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know. It's a book I've had for years. All I'm doing is repeating myself. Take a shot every time I say the word go, and then die. And please don't take a shot every time I say the word die. Like, don't do that. But I know I'm repeating myself this entire video. I'm getting rid of this book. Next up is What Should Be Wild by Julia Fine. I believe this is an adult literary novel, but it has like a speculative twist on it. I'm not sure. Honestly, I don't remember what this is about, but I'm basically just letting it go because I've heard that it's just not that great. I haven't heard anything wrong with it. I've just heard that it's not that good of a book. Okay, sorry about the angle change. My phone overheated and stopped recording, so I need to re-record part of this video. Anyways, those are all of the books from my shelf that I have not read that I'm unhauling. It feels good to get these books off of my shelf that I know I'm never gonna read and to put them out in a world where possibly someone else will find them and love them. However, I do have a couple more books that I have read that I'm also unhauling, so I thought I would show those to you as well. First up, I have The Historian and Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. These are two gigantic books that I DNF'd because they were so boring. I couldn't stand it. I was bored to tears. I can't recommend either of these. Sorry, but they are very boring. I'm also getting rid of Broken Things. This is a young adult thriller, but honestly, I just don't think it's very good. I rated it 2 stars. It's bad. I'm never gonna read it again. It can go. I'm also unhauling Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. I read this and I thought it was fine, but I know I'm never going to reread it because, again, I thought it was only fine. And I'm not going to continue with the story, so we're just going to part ways here. Next up is a big stack. I'm getting rid of the entire Illuminae series and Aurora Burning and Aurora Rising, all by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. First of all, Jay Kristoff is a questionable author. He's done some real shady shit, and you can Google that. I don't have time to explain it all here. Do I still have other books on my shelf by him? Yes, I am a hypocrite. I'm aware. Basically, I read Aurora Rising and I really loved it. I think I gave it 4 stars. And then my book club and I read the Illuminae files in order, and Illuminae was 5 stars, and then from there the series just went downhill. I feel like the entire Illuminae series is just a repeat. Every book is exactly the same. They just changed the names of the characters and changed the settings. But like literally every book feels like it's just copied and pasted. No character has a unique voice. Like they're all just the same. And so the series overall really disappointed me. And then when I went back and read Aurora Burning after reading the Illuminae files, I realized that the Aurora cycle is just the Illuminae files, but with a different plot. I will say the plot is very different between these 2 series, but both of them are just like a ragtag group of kids in space. And honestly, all the characters feel the same. Like I thought that I was reading the 4th book in the Illuminae when I got to Aurora Burning, and I was just like, okay, I'm done. All of these books are identical to each other, and I just like don't need to waste my time on this series anymore. So you know what? Like I'm just getting rid of all of them. So goodbye. Okay. There you have it. Those are all of the books that I'm unhauling. I have cleared up a significant amount of bookshelf space, and I'm feeling very, very good about it. Thank you for spending some time with me today. This has been a very cathartic experience. I hope that you will subscribe, and I hope I'll see you in my next video. Stay safe and stay warm this winter, and have a good day.